Paul contended with those who thought they could earn their own salvation and justify themselves by the law. Write these verses down. You could see this in Galatians 2, verse 4, chapter 5, verses 1 through 4, and verses 10 through 12, and Galatians 6, verses 12 through 13. People who thought that you had to be circumcised to be saved, that you could justify yourself by law keeping. Indeed, in Acts 15, verse 1, it says, certain men came down from Judea and taught the brethren, unless you are circumcised according to the manner of Moses, you cannot be saved. Paul refuted this false teaching in Galatians 2, verse 16, Ephesians 2, verses 8 through 9, and Romans 3, verse 20. We are only saved by grace through faith. You see that in Genesis 15, verse 6, incidentally. But what does the Bible say about what the problem would be in the end time? Well, Matthew 7, verse 23, Jesus said, then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. In Matthew 24, verse 12, speaking of the end time, he said, and because lawlessness shall abound, the love of many will wax cold. There's the famous chapter 2 of 2 Thessalonians. In chapter 2, starting in verse 7, Paul talks about the mystery of lawlessness and the coming of the lawless one, who will be destroyed by the breath of Christ's mouth and the brightness of his coming. In the end time, Paul knew lawlessness would be a problem. The last apostle, John, in 1 John 2, verses 3 through 4, and 1 John 5, verses 2 through 3, emphasize the need to keep the commandments of God. Why? Why does the last book of the Bible, the revelation of Jesus Christ, talk about in Revelation 12, verse 17, 14, 12, and 22, 14, that the church keeps the commandments of God? Why? And an interesting passage most people don't seem to get, 2 Peter 3, verse 17. Now in verse 16, he warned about those who would pervert Paul. The very next verse, verse 17. You therefore, beloved, seeing you know these things before, beware lest you also, being led away with the error of the lawless, fall from your own steadfastness. The word is athesmos. He warned that against being led away with the error of the lawless and falling from your own steadfastness. The Bible in the end time prophesied lawlessness being a problem. Happy Sabbath all. Bye-bye.